This is what life is like as a young woman in Pakistan. You can't go to secondary school or university. You can't work. You can't even see your friends, go to the gym, beauty salon, or doctor on your own.
Welcome to this special edition of Her Story, where we explore the evolution of women's rights in the English-speaking world. Today, we focus on Pakistan, a country created in 1974 as an Islamic state after the partition of British India. Located in a politically unstable region, Pakistan faces numerous challenges, with its western borders shared with Afghanistan and Iran, two countries often isolated from the international decisions, and ongoing tensions with India to the east. The rise of Taliban in some areas of the country has furthered the parent fear and gender inequalities, making the fight for women even more difficult. So let's welcome our first guest, Aya. She will present us the context and the evolution of women's rights in Pakistan.
Before the reforms, the lives of women in Pakistan were largely controlled by deep-rooted patriarchal norms. They were limited to traditional roles within the home, with little access to education, employment, or public life. Women had almost no legal rights compared to men, whether in marriage, inheritance, or justice. In rural areas, these inequalities were even worse, and women had little hope of seeing their situation improve. The first significant changes began after the independence in 1947, when progressive voices like Fatima Jinnah started to advocate for better rights for women. In the 1960s, under the Ayub Khan's government, important reforms were introduced, such as the 1961 Muslim Family Law Ordinance. This law provided protection for women, like limiting polygamy and giving them fairer divorce procedures. Despite setbacks during the Zia al-Haq's regime in the 1980s, the feminist movement and human rights organizations advanced equality. The 2000s saw progress in laws against domestic violence, workplace harassment, and honor crime, alongside education campaigns led by figures like Malala Yousafzai. While challenges persist, these efforts reflect gradual improvement for women in Pakistan.
Now we have a guest who will not only talk about Malala Yousafzai but also discuss the broader struggle of women's rights in Pakistan. Let's welcome Zinab to tell us more.
The story of women's rights in Pakistan is a tale of progress, resistance, but also ongoing struggles. While the country has seen powerful female leaders such as Benazir Bhutto, the first woman to lead a Muslim-majority nation, millions of women still face discrimination, but also restrictions to their freedom and violence. Education is one of the most critical battlegrounds. In many rural areas, cultural and economic barriers prevent girls from going to school. Some families prioritize boys' education, and girls are expected to marry early and take on household responsibilities. In more extreme cases, groups like Taliban have actively tried to suppress female education, enforcing their control through fear and violence. This is the context in which Malala Yousafzai rose to prominence. She wasn't just a victim of an attack, she became a symbol of resistance. After being shot for demanding her right to learn, she used her voice to fight for millions of females who denied these basic rights. But Malala is not alone. Across Pakistan, many brave women continue the struggles, from lawyers fighting discriminatory laws to activists challenging outdated traditions. The battle for women's rights goes beyond education. Women in Pakistan face legal and social barriers in the workplace, but also in politics, and even in personal choices like marriage and dress. However, change is happening. More girls are enrolling in schools, more women are stepping into leadership roles, and movements for gender equality are gaining momentum, especially with the rise of social media.
ask you a question?
Yes.
What is feminist for you in one word?
I think equality.
And you?
Justice.
Freedom.
Rights.
Equilibrium.
Freedom.
Respect.
Love.
Inclusivity.
Freedom. Freedom, yes.
Can I ask you a question? Yes, of course. What do you think about the evolution of women's rights in the education field?
Well, evolutions of the women's rights in the educational field have come from a long way, evolving more and more each day with initiatives like the United Nations Education for All, or even Malala Yousafzai's fierce engagement in education, in girls' education in countries like Pakistan or Afghanistan. Real evidence of that growth can be showcased by countries like Rwanda, where women outnumber men in universities. While these examples showcase true evidence, there are still some challenges, like gender biases or even social expectations.
Okay, thank you.
What does the gender equality mean for
So for me, I think that gender equality means giving both men and women the same rights, the same opportunities, and also the same respects in every aspect, in every area or aspects of life.
Yes, thank you. Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Do you think that women's rights have improved over the years?
There has been some improvements in some domains like education or employment, but in many places, women still face discrimination or unequal treatment.
Yeah, sure. Thank
To conclude this special report, I decided to present you her story, the story of a woman who wakes up every day under the shadow of fear. What should have been her sanctuary has become her prison. Married young, with dreams of a life filled with love, respect, and companionship, she now finds herself trapped in a nightmare with no clear escape. Tonight we bring you her story, a story of immense hardship, unspoken struggles, and the incredible strength it took for her to rise above all. So get ready to hear the story of Rania, who accepted to share it with us.
For 6 years, I lived in constant fear. What started as verbal abuse quickly escalated into physical violence. My husband would strike me for the smallest things, sometimes even in front of our children. But one day, I gathered the courage to escape. When he found me, he made a chilling promise to kill me and throw me into the river if I didn't return. That was at that moment that I realized that silence would not protect me anymore. My family told me to bear it, to keep quiet for the sake of our honor. The police dismissed my case, calling it a family matter. But I knew I had to speak out, because if I didn't, nothing would change.